Hey, thank you so much for joining us. We've really tried our best. God bless the kids. They've been so strong and so supportive and worked so hard to help us honor Kristi. And we appreciate all of you being here to honor her as well, and all of your love and support. Everything's been going so great. The only thing I didn't plan was that I was going to have to follow Katie. So if anybody would like to go first. We would like to share some thoughts and tell a story or two. The kids and I will start, but we'd really like to hear from you as well, so don't be shy. You've all got stories. You all know and loved her. Let me begin with a shout out to Lee and Eldy, Kristin's parents, as well as Sheila Tully, her good friend. They could not be physically with us today, but they are joining via simulcast. Lee and Eldy, thank you so much for raising such a wonderful girl. With Christ and Mary as her namesakes, she was very aptly named. You know she loves you dearly. Sheila is Kristi's good friend and mentor. Kristi's parents and Sheila shared the same values as her on how to live your life and treat people. They are also the only ones I know with friend groups as large as Kristi. Now, I would like to tell you a love story. This is the early days, and the kids have never heard this, so the big reveal. This is the G-rated version, though. So, see me later for PG, and the rest is private. We met in college in 1984 at the beginning of the second semester of my sophomore year, her freshman year, and I had just returned from studying abroad. We met briefly in the dorms, and that Thursday night, our friend groups converged at Sal's, the local college bar in St. Joe. It was packed, and a good time was had by all. After a few beers, we started dancing. Before long, I asked her out. However, according to Kristi, her schedule was full. Friday night, no. Saturday night, busy. Sunday, won't be around, etc., etc. I tried every day of the week. Kristi gave me this sweet smile and said she had no opinions. When I stopped dancing, I saw my prospects improved. Finally, after about a dozen attempts and my best song and dance, she agreed to go to one movie, Footloose. And the rest is history. It wasn't long before she too was all goo-goo-eyed and we were madly in love. I'm sure it was something to see. I loved her from day one. My friends were quite upset. Several of them had been trying for months to get the courage to ask her out. But I brought my A game. I swooped in to steal her heart before they even knew what happened. Summers were tough. I lived in St. Paul and she lived in Bird Island, about 90 miles west. I would head west every chance I could. One night I took off on my motorcycle, sometime after midnight. It was raining cats and dogs, but I just had to be with her. Somehow I arrived safely around 3 a.m., completely soaked. And believe me, both of our parents thought we were totally crazy. Most college kids don't study abroad. Some do one semester. Kristi liked to live large, as you know, and she was a double language major, so she did a semester in France and another in Spain. She had the time of her life, which of course I was happy for, but we did miss each other. Back in the day, there was no internet, no email, no cell phones, no texting, no nothing. We had two ways to communicate. An international phone call, which was very expensive for college kids, so we could only talk about 10 minutes every week or two. And you had to be at the right spot at the right time to be on a landline. The second was what they called an aerogram, which was essentially a one-page letter on thin blue paper, cost about $1, and it would usually arrive within a week. This is when yours truly, a math major, became a very prolific writer. Her study abroad friends were amazed and jealous of all the love letters she received. And I recall with great pride that I got more than a few letters from her as well. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I can attest to that. They also say opposites attract, which in our case was true. I brought the math. She brought everything else. However, she surprised us all by scoring in the 98th percentile on math in the Illinois Teacher's Certification Test. So I guess she brought the math too. My friend Joel, his dad called us the Beauty and the Beast.
Mike thought it was a compliment to him for years. We all knew what the
That's
real
the way
role
I
was.
remember it. That's totally the way I remember it. Toward the end of our second semester of studying abroad, although we were young, I just couldn't wait any longer, and I wasn't going to let this one get away. When her plane landed a few days before Christmas, about 11 p.m. at the Twin Cities Airport, I was there in my best tux, my only tux, from Ragstock, with roses in hand. As soon as she stepped off the plane, I was there on my knee asking her to marry me. She was quite jet-lagged and not quite sure what was happening. But she did say yes. And I tell you, I was really over the moon. I can't tell you. About now, Kristi is thinking, okay, wrap it up, you're too long-winded. And then she's thinking, when I first met you, you were quiet and not a blowhard. And, well, she's probably right on both counts. But there's more to the story that needs to be told. We were married about 18 months later in 1988 on June 24th, her birthday. Kristi was carefree and let her mom do all of the wedding planning. A Friday night wedding, 5 p.m. 104 degrees that day in Minnesota, hottest on record. The church had no air conditioning. Every fan in the church was pointed at me. They were pretty sure I was going to faint. The priest was a family friend of the Dummers, and Mass ran an hour and 20 minutes. The message that day, though, was clear. We were chosen by each other, but also importantly, chosen by God to spend our lives together. The rest of the night was a blur. There were nearly 500 people at our reception. No air conditioning in the ballroom either. The Athens ballroom, they're here today, thank you. The drinking began, and it took over 2 hours to get through the receiving line. It was and is, though, the happiest day of my life. She was an angel. I've been so blessed, the luckiest guy in the world. As time passed, I was doing so well. As time passed, Kristi became more and more beautiful. She got stronger, more accomplished at everything, and even more elegant. Most notably, she brought 4 beautiful children into the world and became the best mom ever. Kristi had friends everywhere we turned and was one of everyone's favorite people. She treated everyone with respect and gave of herself endlessly. This is the Kristi you all know so well. Over the years, I've routinely had to pinch myself. I've always been so proud and so happy that she was my wife. I've been so blessed, the luckiest guy in the world. 20 years ago, we had a surprise birthday party for her, right here at Exmoor. She started to get suspicious when one of the kids asked their mom what she would wear if she was going to a surprise party at Exmoor. That was Caroline. The night was great. Second City was here and did a skit on this girl from Minnesota with a funny but lovely accent. 5 or 10 years back, I started to write her little love notes to remind her of just how much crazy I was about her and how she meant the world to me. Before she woke up, I would put them on her perch by the front window where she had coffee in the morning. Nothing too long or gushy. She liked them short and sweet, preferably with a good laugh. That would hit the spot with her and provide a great start to her day. I wish I had done this earlier and done more of it. Gentlemen, take note. I have no idea where anything is in our house, but I need to find those love letters and love notes before the kids do, and that's my summer project. So, Anybody wants to help other than the kids, just welcome. Kristi is a happy, happy soul, and my life with her was filled with playfulness, laughter, happiness, and love. She had an endless well of memories and stories that would make her burst out laughing and often bring a tear to her eyes. It didn't take much. Her laughter was contagious, a beautiful thing. This continued right to the end. A few days before she passed, Kristi spent an hour telling Gabby the hilarious things that had happened to me and what I had done over just the last week. For 37 years of marriage, we held each other close at night. Well, here we are now. My heart longs to be with you again, sweetie. In time, God willing, I will be with you in heaven, as I know you're already there. Until then, the kids and I will do you proud. You set the standard for how to live, and you set the bar high, much like what Christ and Mary ask of us. We'll be very sad at times and need strength from you and the Holy Spirit. So please continue to be our angel and guide us on our way. Kristin, I love you, 25. I miss you so much. May God bless you and keep you. Amen.
Thank you so much, Dad. I guess I will go next. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. This is Caroline, Kristi and Mike's second daughter. If I tried to list out all the amazing things about my mom, we would be here all week, so I'm just going to talk about two of them. One of my favorite things about my mom was how she was always laughing. It didn't take much to get her going, but once she started, she would laugh until tears rolled down her face. No matter how many times you retold the joke or story, she would still laugh as hard as if she was hearing it the first time. Some of her main sources of laughter included putting Chris's boxers on our petite golden doodle Duffy, dressing Duffy up with the wig like an Irish dancer, when my dad sat pretzel style after drinking one too many margaritas at Sheila Tully's house, photos of a long-haired guinea pig, which resulted in her getting pulled over while driving by the highway patrol for laughing too hard, taking photos of us kids immediately after we got our wisdom teeth out, making us sing songs in the Duffy voice, specifically Low by Flo Rida, one time by Justin Bieber, and We Are Who We Are by Kesha. There were multiple times when she would fall down while skiing into a foot of powder, and it would take us an hour to get her up because she was laughing so hard. Laughter is one of the greatest gifts she's given us. Despite the pain she was in her final weeks, she laughed more than ever. Our family has felt unbearable grief since her passing, but being able to laugh together as we relive memories has kept us going. The second thing I love about my mom is that she was a lady and a class act. She taught us how to set a dinner table, answer the home phone, "Hello, Hughes, this is Caroline speaking," and offer beverages to guests when they step foot in the kitchen. She would threaten to send us to etiquette school when our manners weren't up to her standards. But she also lived these values herself. She was so generous and treated everyone around her with kindness and respect. She got Christmas and end-of-year gifts for our teachers at Holy Cross and Loyola, had sandwiches and water bottles ready for any construction workers at our lake house, and was always gracious to the many doctors and nurses she saw this last year. There's one memory in particular that embodies her manners and her fun-loving spirit. In summer 2022, I had a small kitchen fire right after moving into my apartment, and she came over to help me piece everything back together. At the same time, someone came over to install my Wi-Fi, and after he finished the installation, to my embarrassment, I didn't have any cash to tip him. But my mom started scanning the room, and within 10 seconds, she asked the Wi-Fi man if he drank alcohol, and he said yes. So she walked over to my bar cart and gave him the handle of Tito's vodka that I had just bought. He was thrilled and told us how he was going to go home and drink it with his wife and friends. Mom, you embodied generosity, grace, and kindness. May we all live out these values to keep your memory alive. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. I'm Gabby, the third daughter. Oh God. The past 2 weeks have been filled with so many emotions, but the one that's really risen above the rest is just how lucky I feel to have had 27 years with my mom. My mom was the type of person that lit up every room she was in and every community she was a part of. She took so much pride in her hometown of Bird Island, Minnesota. Although we grew up in Chicago, some of our favorite childhood memories are at our mom's childhood home, where our nanny and papa still live today. Growing up, my mom would always joke that I was super indecisive and stressed out about making decisions, even if it was just deciding what to have on the menu. Mom was quite the opposite. I could always turn to her for a quick decision. She always knew what to do, what outfit to pick, how to decorate a room. I moved into a new apartment a few months ago, and although my mom wasn't able to see it in person, she pretty much decorated it all over the phone. I'd send her a picture, and within 30 seconds, my mom would be calling, telling me to lower the paintings. I think one of the things I'll miss the most are those daily phone calls with my mom. One of our favorite stories is that Katie once spent over an hour on the phone with my mom, and when Mom asked if she wanted to talk to Dad, Katie famously replied, "Well, Dad, what's there to talk about?" Dad, I promise we'll be calling you more, just maybe not with interior design questions. We were at Brittany House's baby shower in the city a few years back, and to our surprise, my mom's Range Rover had been towed from Clark Street and taken to the pound in a very sketchy part of town. My mom walks into the trailer office in her full-length fur coat, perfectly blown-out hair, sparkling jewelry, and the ladies working there were up in arms about how if they had known such a fabulous woman would be showing up that day, they would have dressed up for work. And of course, she became friends with them, as she usually did any place she went. She never took life too seriously and had the most amazing way of making everyone feel welcome and respected. The ladies at the pound responded by giving her a ride to her car so she wouldn't have to walk in the mud in her heels. This past year, I'm so grateful for the time we got with my mom, and it was really so amazing to see my dad take such good care of her, keeping her spirits up and tending to her every need. So Dad, thank you. Earlier this spring, my mom caught my dad dancing to Go Cubs Go after a big win, and she thought it was hilarious. From then on, whenever she was bored or in need of a pick-me-up, she would call out, "Go Cubs Go," and my dad would immediately break into his song and dance. We have videos. I'd do anything to have more time with you, Mom, but I'd take a shorter life with you than a full life with anyone else as my mom. We love you.
All right, well, I just found out that I was a surprise today. Yeah. So I always thought that they wanted a little baby boy, but Caroline spoiled it for me.
I remember the night. She was so pretty.
So here I am, 24 years later. Big surprise. So good afternoon, everyone. First, I wanted to thank everybody for being here today and attending, and for Lee and Eldy tuning in up in Bird Island. We love you. It's truly amazing and inspirational to see how many lives my mother touched. My name's Chris. I'm Kristi's youngest child and only human son. With the second son being our beloved petite golden doodle Duffy, who's now having cheese fed by my mom up in heaven. For those who knew me growing up and in grade school and as a toddler, you'd know that I'm a mama's boy. And for those who have met me since my younger days, I'm a mama's boy. When I moved out east to college at Villanova, I got in the habit of talking to my mother almost every day over the phone, catching up with the latest and greatest in each other's lives. And those daily conversations were something that were cherished and continued on even when I was 45 minutes away in Lincoln Park. We'd still talk every day. It was just amazing. And while there are countless stories, and there isn't one in particular that could capture all the greatness of my mother, I'm going to give it a whirl and share a few comments about the woman who meant so much to all of us. So growing up with a family of 6, we had an extremely busy household. And despite the busyness and hecticness of having 4 kids and activities all over the place, oftentimes when it was the most busy, and as a toddler I needed something, I would refuse help and say, "Mama, do it." And at the time, I thought that it was completely reasonable for my mom to have Mama do it. Looking back, we had 4 other members of the family that were completely capable, and so it wasn't necessarily reasonable. But boy, was I smart, because everything that my mom did was truly amazing. Especially her cranberry chicken and her milkshakes, and the fact that about 8% of my closet is curated by her design. And through everything that she did, you could tell that no matter how much she had going on or what she was doing, she gave 110% to everything in life, and did everything with elegance and class, but also a little bit of tough love. And whether it was one of her world-class dishes or life advice on important decisions or telling her favorite stories over a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, you could tell that she loved us and she really loved living life. So that's something that we're going to carry on with her by her side every step of the way going forward. Her and my dad growing up did their best to instill all their amazing values in their kids. And they did this in their actions in everyday life. And over the past year or so, this really came full circle. My mom always taught all of us that you have to be there for your friends and family when life is hardest. And our family became even closer together than we've ever been over the last year, supporting each other and supporting my mom. And specifically, I wanted to thank and acknowledge my dad and my oldest sister, Katie, for everything, for their just unmatched care and attention for my mother over the last year. And Katie, as many of you know, as a newlywed, was completing her residency as a doctor, and was pregnant with a little newborn Mikey. So she had a crazy schedule, and she would never advertise it, but on top of how busy she was, she spent hundreds of hours learning and being there so that we could lean on her and she could help translate all the medical jargon to us and see what the best path forward was. And equally as important, she was always positive and optimistic when the rest of the family was down. Katie, you embody everything that Mom would ever want. And you've shown me how amazing of a mother you're going to be to little Mikey. We continue to request hourly pictures and updates. So please keep those coming. And I'd like to conclude with that. A toast to Mikey's grandmother, my mother, the best wife, daughter, sister, and friend in the world. Mom, we love you. Cheers.
All right, the mic's open. I could go again, but I'd rather hear from you. So.
Hello, everybody. I'm Erin Cohn,
Kelly Collins.
and we are Kristi's besties. We have props and we have alcohol, so we'll be talking about them and how they embody Kristi.
Yeah, and we're missing our other bestie, Sheila Tully, who can't be here with us today, but we know she's with us in spirit. So it was the three amigos is how we started. So it begins a story of Irish dance. And my girls were doing Irish dance in the basement of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and Sheila Tully was the Irish dance teacher. And I was beginning my journey into the fashion industry, and Sheila said to me, well, she first said to me, well, who are you and why do you dress like that? And that Sheila voice that she had. And I said, hi, Sheila. And so I shared what I did, and she's like, well, get your brats dancing. So I did. And I shared with her what I did, and she said, oh, do I have someone for you? Kristi Hughes. And poor Mike's wallet just got smaller and smaller after that. It was a very love-hate relationship, Mike and Kelly Collins, because the credit card bills would come in, but the boxes, still the boxes. So Kristi, just like all of you know, she became a client, but she really became one of my best friends. And what I also realized about Kristi is that she also became a big sister to me. And in this journey, Sheila then introduced us together. And so we really were the three amigos. It was Sheila, Kristi, Kelly, and Erin. I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. So, are you finished, or do you want to go? Okay, she's going to add some color to this, I'm sure. So, what I have here is the last gift that Kristi ever gave me. And it is a flask. Many of you probably are not surprised, but many of you might know that Sheila Tully had 3 visitors many, many times over the years in Puerto Vallarta. So it was always Kristi and Kelly and I. And Kristi taught us a lot of lessons in life, and I want to talk about how this flask embodied her. First of all, the flask is a beautiful, bright, white flask, and I always felt and still feel that Kristi is a bright, white light, and that's how I will always think of her. Secondly, it says, instead of Cartier Paris, Party Paris. And I've used it ever since. As a matter of fact, I've forgotten it at Kelly's house once in a while. Mike, when I walked in today, I had the bartender fill this up with dark rum. So it's on your bill. Thank you. And so one of the greatest stories when we were in Puerto Vallarta is how Kristi taught us to really how to drink and how to drink all day. So it was good. And one of her favorite drinks that are now one of our favorite drinks is a pina colada. I did not know at the time that making a pina colada there could be a recipe for one. And so her favorite way to dress up a pina colada was with a dark rum topper. So we would drink those all throughout the trip. And over the years, it's probably been 15 or so, when Kristi and Kelly and I would go on vacations with our family or other friend groups, we would take pictures of our pina coladas with the dark rum toppers. So this I will always carry with me. The last thing I'll say is this is a very classy flask. We've all said this about Kristi. And so, Cartier, cheers to Kristi.
But we didn't call them pina coladas with double, triple dark rum floaters. We called them protein shakes.
Yes.
So the joke was always, are you having a protein shake? So wherever we traveled, with or without her, we always were cheering our protein shakes. And then one of Kristi's last gifts to me, well, first of all, you all know Kristi's absolute love of fashion, and that's also why we became best friends, because I don't think there was a woman who loved clothes and jewelry and purses and Gucci as much as I did with her. And we were constantly, even days up, too. Kristi and I were texting pictures of her wedding dress for Caroline's wedding, her dress for your wedding. And we had this love. We would send pictures constantly to each other of jewelry. This is one of, Kristi and I also liked a lot of the same things. And so the joke was, text me what you're wearing so we don't show up in the same outfit. And so I just have to say, I started to say this, Kristi was really like a big sister to me. We did so much life together with Kristi, and I think that's what's so hard for me, because she did so much, we did so much life together. And there were so many times I would call her, and you all can hear her voice. She'd say, "Oh, Kelly, it'll be fine. The girls will be fine. Tom will be fine." But her voice just rings in my ears, and I miss that so much. I've picked up the phone and looked at her last few texts so many times, and I can hear her voice, "Oh, Kelly." So she guided me through so much life with our girls. I swear there were times where my girls were at your house every other weekend, or girls, you were at my house. Polish Palooza was coined. We had a marriage of Duffy and Coco. We had a marriage of Christopher. Yes? Okay.
Wait,
Okay.
Duffy was married again?
Well, Coco died, okay? She died. I'm also going to say there was a marriage of Christopher and Riley that Caroline and I were all about. Sorry, Chris and Rye. Anyways, just so much life that we did. Incredible trips, raising our children together, Irish dance, showers, and so much more life to do. But I know she's here with us. This is my gift. Help is here. So Erin had alcohol.
It's a pill box.
I had the pill box. That was Mila's gift. And Kristi and I also absolutely love this, and I know you all know it, and I want you to say it with me. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your beautiful face, Kristi. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, because we will meet you again, may God hold you, our dear bestie, Kristi, in the palm of your hand and the Hughes family.
Is somebody else racing up here? You can have the first run. Those are hard to follow. Hi, my name is Janice House. My husband is Forrest, and I have two daughters, Brittany and Lindsay. I'll never forget Lindsay coming home from Holy Cross one morning and telling Forrest and I she wanted another sister. We were like, oh, okay. And to our surprise, she said her name was Katie. And we were like, oh, Katie, okay. She immediately handed me a piece of paper that had Kristi's telephone number on it. We didn't have cell phones. And so, of course, I called and I said, Kristi, you have a daughter, Katie. She's now being adopted by Lindsay. Katie was on the phone going, can I go over and play? Can I go over and play? So we adopted each other's family from that day forward. I wanted to share some reflections of Kristi's love and grace for her family and friends through the eyes of a thankful friend. I'll start with the most recent. Michael Anthony Piccatto III. Your Grammy loved you way before you were born. I'm sad that you weren't able to call her Grammy, but I couldn't imagine Kristi as a Grammy. Michael P. II. You're the second son, human son, thank you, Christopher, Kristi imagined. When you and Katie declared your love for each other and told Mike and Kristi, she called me and she said, help. Forrest and you have gone through Brittany's residency, med school, new homes, engagements, and weddings. Her comment remains in my head. You're not going to believe how perfect Michael is for Katie. We now know how right she was, and know that you'll be an anchor for Katie in the weeks, months, years to come. Alex, there he is. We know your support and love of Caroline is a gift. As you enter the family, know we love you, and are sure Kristi's love and presence will guide you and support you through the year and years ahead. You're also invited to all of our barbecues as a resident grill anytime. Christopher, the bond you and your mom share will never be broken. She was so proud of you from the moment you entered the world. To your most recent accomplishments. All her updates were spoken with pride, love, and joy over your endeavors. You'll have to admit, she spoke her mind to you. But from my standpoint, she always allowed you to reason things out and make decisions on your own. God does work in very mysterious ways, and I thank him for you making the trip home. She was so excited, and she told us every day how excited she was. Gabby, you have your mom's smile, and I remember the day you were born. It's not often in today's world that you show up when a friend has a baby. I did. I showed up in the hospital very soon after you were born and swore you smiled that smile of your mom's on that day. Again, I can see Kristi smiling and laughing as you held Duffy like a baby in your arms. You also said, Janice, I want to wear makeup too. I want to be part of the big girls. So we let you do it. Never lose that fun-loving approach to life and that smile. I know you got it from your mom. Caroline, where you at? You were always along for the ride and didn't stand for being left behind. Whether it was Dad riding bikes with you in the Burley or you joining Katie, Lindsay, and us for a sleepover. Your drive, intelligence, and passion for life is infectious. Kristi would shrug her shoulders, smile that smile, giggle that giggle, and proclaim, as you heard you proclaim your beliefs. Regardless of the subject, but it was usually politics, we watched you grow into the young, strong woman you are today. Continue to reach for the stars. As you know, if you falter, you'll still be on the top of the mountain. Katie? Sorry. We thank you for adopting our family. Sorry. And remaining a faithful, loyal, and loving friend. You light up a room. Don't stop. You're such a gift to your family and all of us around you. I'm sorry. Okay, two quick stories. I remember one Saturday night we had a dinner party at our house, and you stayed over. You ate creme brulee for breakfast. Remember this? You saw your mom at church where we handed you over, and she called me laughing after church. She said, okay, Katie said it's the best breakfast ever, just eggs and cream with a bit of sugar on top. The second memory was you at the Holy Cross basketball team, which I helped co-host, or co-coach. We coached you, and in 7th grade, I was a coach for Lindsay, but she fired me. Katie welcomed me back. And she said, we can't win without you. Well, there was one game, we were down in Evanston, and half the team fouled out. You gotta know, we only had 7 on the team, so it was really hard. Anyway, Katie's on the floor. To her comment before about not being the best basketball player, I was like, no, the other way, Katie. But there were two of them on the floor, and we won the game. The game was 12-9. Yes, it was a basketball. Never forget the look on her face. She was so happy. Beautiful, faithful, and fun-loving remain the words your mom and I used to describe you. When you met Michael and showed up on Sunday with the expression of love all over you, Kristi giggled that giggle and said, I think Katie found her soulmate, and I'm sure the name Michael helped bring them together. My wish for you is to share the stories and the memories of Grammy with Michael III. He will grow to love and cherish Kristi, although he never had the chance to live with her. Mike, you are the rock, the husband, the caretaker, the love and best friend of Kristi. During the challenging times, which usually related to long work hours, or being in the front yard mowing the lawn when we had a dinner party, Kristi would always smile and say, get him inside. It's what I signed up for. I love him. We know we love you and will bother you immensely over the next months and years. Love doesn't seem to be strong enough word for what you shared with Kristi or what we feel for you. For Kristi's immediate Minnesota family, we pray your memories will provide support as you travel through the challenging days ahead. For me, the memories are flooding back with highlights of dinner parties hosted with Holy Cross friends. The real impetus for these was to make sure Forrest and Mike would stop cutting the lawn and get inside. Moving from our original homes to our dream homes, decorating, fixing up, and sharing our homes with others became a significant bond. Also, who could forget the flower arrangements that sometimes cost more than our mortgages? Sorry, Mike. Cookie parties that started with 3 of us in the kitchen, 3 different types of cookies, almost always eaten by the kids before we left, and of course, 2 bottles of wine. Super Bowl parties where hundreds of quarters were used to teach our children about betting boards like we had at Holy Cross. I guess this wasn't the best teaching moment, but it was fun. Kristi, we thank you for your friendship, love, and commitment to keep the events and the memories going, even when we might be far apart or you weren't feeling your best. I know I speak for all gathered saying, we know you loved us, but we love you more. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I know I'm the oldest of Chris's side of the family. I am the youngest of 3 daughters. My oldest, youngest of 3 daughters, yes. What am I trying to say? I have nothing written here, so bear with me. So Lee Dummer was my oldest sister. Joni was the middle sister, and then me. And so I just want to give you a little insight into why Kristi was who she was. My mom and dad were part of the Depression years. We were raised in a way, a very humble way. But my mom and dad had us taking dance lessons, singing lessons, piano lessons, right? And my oldest sister, Lee, ended up being a tap dancer teacher.
just to show you the importance of this, my first dance recital as a tap dancer was at age 3. I am now 81 years old.
Let's see it.
Okay, now I didn't plan on telling you this. No, seriously. But my sister Joni and I were attached at the hip, and we absolutely loved each other. We danced together, and we actually competed in the Jimmy Valentine talent show on Channel 5 in Minneapolis when we were tomboys. When I was, I don't know, maybe I was 4th grade and she was 6th grade or 5th grade or 7th grade, something like that. We won first prize. And because we were such tomboys, I mean, okay, that's another story. Just very quickly, Lee happened. I think my father said, Matilda, that was her name, Tilly, you name her what you want, Lenore. It turned out that Joni was supposed to be John, his brother, and I was supposed to be Carl, his half-brother. And that's why my name is Carol, which now is Corey. But anyway, back to this dance concert, we won. And when we were allowed to choose a prize, I was really irritated with my sister Joni because she chose the basketball set. And I don't know if anyone remembers wood burning, that smell. I chose the wood burning set. But anyway, so we won first prize. Now, back to Chris. Lee ended up becoming the tap dance teacher. And I went to the College of St. Benedict, and that is where Kristin ended up going. But Kristin would, when Lee started her tap dancing, Chrissy would walk across the street to a friend's house to be taken care of while Lee was giving all these lessons, okay? But when it came time for her recitals, Lee would say, Cora, you need to do something. You know, so we would tap dance, or we would, I don't know. One year we had anyway, we would do something at intermission. Well, that influence really, I mean, I'm not surprised that Kristin ended up having all their children in Irish dancing, right? It was just part of the whole thing. And I think it just goes back to, where does this all come from? I think my mother was influenced by Shirley Temple, right? The tap dancer, right? So on and on. A couple other things that I remember. I remember the day when Lee said, oh my gosh, Corey, I went to pick up Chris at the airport after studying in France, and this guy, Mike, was on his knees with roses. I said, who the hell is Mike? Well, I don't know, but Lee said, I'm kind of impressed with what he did. Yeah. Also, the thing, I ended up majoring in French and at the College of St. Benedict, but I couldn't speak a word because back then you never learned how to speak. You just learned history and grammar and all that stuff. So on my own, I went to France. And I do think that I influenced Chrissy a little bit. Okay, so that's just a thought. She did not hitchhike for 2 months like I did, though, after I studied there for a year. Another memory I have is Chrissy coming back, and she had bought this wedding dress from Spain.
Just one second. I
Yeah.
do have to say, Kristi started out teaching French and Spanish, but her French students pretty much learned Spanish.
Quel dommage. I taught French all my life between having our 3 wonderful children, taking them to France every other year. But back to Chris, when she came back from France, she had brought, I don't know when that was, but she had this wedding dress. And I was the first person to see her in, well, maybe her sisters did, but I saw her in that wedding dress, and there's a picture of her. I took that picture of her in her wedding dress. And that was a very special moment. Another thing that was so special was I was working at Edina Country Club in Minneapolis to earn enough money to somehow get to France on my own. And Lee called. Lee and I were very, very close during the years I was in college. And she called and she said, "Corey, we're getting the baby. We're getting this baby." And we went down, a good friend of mine who was also working at the Edina Country Club, we drove down, and I was the first person outside of Lee and Eldy to see baby Kristi. And I became her godmom. And yeah, it's been hard to lose her. She's such a lovely person. But I just wanted to tell you that, you know, all you parents and grandparents and soon-to-be grandparents, I don't know what I am at this point, but the importance of modeling, which I know my parents did for me. That Up-Off Lake place where you don't know what Mike used to do at the Up-Off Lake place. I mean, it was, okay. It was a release. It was a release. And anyway, when all the Doomers would be there, and Missy and Allie and Jeffrey.
In case you were wondering, just to satisfy your curiosity, I would do an annual skinny dipping dive. All right, let's hear it for Corey.
There you go. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alison, and I am Kristi's sister. We want to start out by thanking everybody. It's been overwhelming, the love, the support that we have seen at the wake today. It's overwhelming, but it does really show what our parents distilled in us: love, grace, honor, and Chris lived that every day of her life. And now we can see it in her 4 children. Every one of you look like her. You act, Gabby. You do. There's things you do with your head, you know, when Chris would talk. There's just things that we will remember seeing you that will bring her back into our hearts. But we love every one of you, and we are so grateful that everyone became a part of her life. Over here, the St. Paul, you guys were such a part. Athmans, Hagna, Altmans, you guys, everybody was such a great friend and family member to her. But I do have to bring up Mike. Mike was a golden star in our life. When they got engaged, he came maybe a month before she flew back in and met with my mom and dad, and Missy and I were very suspicious. So we assumed they were getting engaged, okay? They came back from dinner, they sat us down to tell us Mike was going to the Army for 4 years. My response was, why did you waste her 4 last years of her life? You are now going to leave. Then she comes back a month later with a wedding ring. We're like, and they're laughing. So it was not a funny thing. Another thing about my sister is she's very direct. She tells you how it is. You may not like it. 2 weeks later, you'll realize, ooh, she was right. There were a lot of things we debated about, Mike. We had good discussions. But one thing we respected and honored, we disagreed, but we loved each other so much. She loved her family. She loved her mom and dad. She was our rock in our family. She was everything we needed to keep us going.
And Chris, if you see me right now, I have a dress on. I have not worn a dress for 31 years, and that was my wedding day. I love you.
The other, one of the other memories I have of Chris, like I said, she's direct. When Katie was born, we were all together. There were a bunch of people, okay? And she said that I wasn't going to be Katie's godmother because I was not adult enough. She made Missy. Then, to ease it, she said, she has a child. She knows. But I became Caroline's. And very great. That was 3 years later, so yeah, I adulted. But yes, she will be dearly missed. We all love her, and she will live on in all of us. And I'm so grateful for you, Mike, and the honor you have done for her today in this last couple days, and the life you gave her. We truly do appreciate you and love you with everything. And my parents, they were here, would say the same. They love you dearly. Thank you.
Let's hope she's not arguing. All right, last call for the mic. Anyone else?
All right. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Alex. I'm Caroline's fiance. And although I will not be competing for best speech, I know that Kristi always liked the men to be quieter and shorter-winded, so I at least won't disappoint in that department. So I just want to speak and share a few words on Kristi's generosity and her ability to make everyone around her feel so welcomed. It was earlier on in my relationship with Caroline. It was the first time that we were taking a trip up to her family's lake house in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. And we took a slight detour to have dinner at a nicer restaurant in Whitewater, Wisconsin. And about midway through the meal, Kristi shows up and surprises us. And we're still not quite sure how, to this day, how she knew that we were there. But so we're talking for a while and saying hi, and then she goes back to the lake house. And then at the end of the meal, I asked the waitress for the check, and she says, "Well, Kristi had already paid the bill." And she had only met me a couple times at this point, so it really meant a lot. And Whitewater was also a good 20-25 minute drive away from the lake house, so she really went out of her way to do something very thoughtful and generous. A couple other short stories from earlier on in my relationship with Caroline. I got a text one day from Kristi, and it was a picture of her famous chocolate chip cookies that she had freshly baked, inviting me over for just a quick break in the middle of the workday when I'd be down the street at my parents'. And another time one summer, I was leaving the Hughes house, and Kristi was out in the garden, and as we're saying bye, she reaches down and picks up a whole handful of green onions that she had just harvested and just hands me all of them. I was like, wow, that's so kind of you, and she... Just a very thoughtful thing to do, and she knew that Caroline and I like to cook together and make our salads with green onions. So, the next time we had prepared a meal together, she wanted there to be something made fresh with her mother's love. Smaller scale examples, but I think they all point to the general idea that Kristi was an extraordinarily generous person, and she constantly made sacrifices throughout her life for Mike and for her kids, the Holy Cross and Loyola communities, and it's a very admirable trait that I'll always remember her for, and we'll miss her very deeply.
make a special exception for Mary.
I couldn't come here without saying a few words. I lived with Chris my freshman, junior, and senior year in college, and then after college, spent a couple of summers in Bird Island working at the migrant program with her. But just wanted to share a couple of memories. And my freshman year, she and her mom said, "Wow, you have such beautiful skin. How do you take care of it?" I said, "Dial soap." Because I grew up on a farm, and I knew nothing about skincare, and thus began my experience with Estee Lauder. We had crazy, crazy times, but one of the funniest stories was we were working in Bird Island, and Mike and Chris were home from Chicago, and Mike had to go back for an acquisition, so he says, "Will you drive back to Chicago in my Fiero with Kristi, and I'll fly you home?" I'm like, "Sure, this will be fun." So we're driving along, and as you know, a Fiero's engine is in the back, and it's ventilated. We just put our suitcase on there because we had no place to put it. There's no back seat. We're driving along, and people are waving at us. We're like, "Hey." Finally, somebody rolls out the window, "Your car's on fire." So I look back, and there are plumes and plumes of smoke, and like, we might want to pull over. So we get off the interstate, and we find a gas station. And I said, "I think it's the radiator, and I think we're low on water. We should just put water in it." It's dark out. And so we get a bucket of water. And Kristi's like, "I don't think we should do this." So we ended up getting towed back to Chicago. And we're sitting three abreast in the front seat. And we get back and learn later that we almost put water in the oil pan. So anyway, crazy stuff. And then Kelly, to your point of after Katie's wedding, I said, "Oh my God, what a gorgeous wedding. It was so elegant." She's like, "Oh, Cone Goss." We had nicknames for each other. She was Scene Goss, I was Cone Goss, because you can figure that out. But I still hear that and like Cone Goss, and it'll just resonate in my memory forever. I love you guys dearly. She loved you so fiercely. You were her everything. Mike bought her flowers in college all the time. She finally had to say, "You need to stop. You're spending too much money. This is a waste of money. You can save it for something else." So thank you for being my friend's everything. I love you, and I'm here for you forever.
Another special exception. Yep, you get some time.
Okay, nothing prepared. So no expectations here. None. I've known Mike for a long time. He grew up across the street from my husband, and my husband and I dated for 8 years, and his parents sometimes would go out of town when we were dating in high school, and then I would prepare like champagne with strawberries and a nice little dinner. And Mike would come over and they'd play video games. It was so sweet. So that's how far we went back. And they ended up, after college, living together. And Kristi and I and Susie Hegna and a couple other girls lived together as well. So it was the boys' house and the girls' house. And then they got married on that hot 104th degree day. And then we got married and had kids at the same time. And our kids became almost like cousins. I think you would agree. And we love you as our own kids. We really love you as our own kids. But one quick and short story. So Mike retired, and we were celebrating his birthday and retirement, and we went down to Florida. to a golf resort. I have no idea why he chose us to come to the golf resort, except for the fact that my husband beat him in golf many years ago and sends him the scorecard every once in a while.
I'm 1 in 49 against him.
So we went and Mike had us all decked out. We had the golf carts. We had everything that you would want, except for he told Joel. He said, "Hey, you don't have to bring your clubs." Maybe because he might be embarrassed by what Joel might bring. Maybe not. But he said, "I'll bring Chris's clubs, and so you're set." Okay. So we get in the carts, and as it turns out, he had a brand new set of golf clubs, but they were Gabby's.
Sorry about that, Gabby.
and Joel is 6'2", and Gabby is not. And maybe Mike was trying to set something up here. I don't know. But first swing, Joel, with a 5, whatever 5 means, broke the club. So now he's down without the set. So, but Mike is still taking this seriously because he's gonna get that score club to send to Joel. So he was taking it seriously. Kristi and I were in one cart, and Joel and Mike were in the other. But Mike was taking it a little more seriously than Kristi thought. Oh, Mike. And so we decided that the girls were gonna go to the tee that was closer. We'd just tee off, let them play it through, and we'd meet them on the green, whatever that means. And so we did that consistently. So we teed off, it was probably towards the end, whatever hole that means. And we teed off, we did it, we were there, and we drove up, and we're sitting on the path, and all of a sudden, something happened. And I'm like, oh my God, was that a gunshot? What happened? And Kristi, as she's in her lap, she's like, oh my God, Joel. Oh my God, you hit the golf club. You hit it into my cart. You hit my leg. And she was laughing so hard that with her laugh. But so that was just a cherished story for me. But 2 other things is whenever we would arrive at their house in Highland Park, it wouldn't matter if it was like 6 o'clock in the afternoon or 11:30 at night. She's like, Yvonne, I have your wine. She was always so gracious. And on the other side, she would say, Yvonne, is the Hanson Hotel open? And of course it was. It always is. It's always open to all of you, as are our hearts. And we love you so much. And we will miss Kristi.
If you want to go golfing with us.
It's not me. Don't choose me.
Thank you all for coming. You can stay as long as you want, but it's awesome. We appreciate everyone honoring Kristi. Thank you so much.